All right, guys, let's get started. Just a second. All right, so I just want to, this is going to be super long today. I just kind of want to go over some ideas for tomorrow, kind of take a look at sort of what I'm expecting. So we have a couple of earnings tomorrow. We're pretty much through earnings season for the most part. Um, no like super big names report tomorrow. I know a couple retail support or report, like KSS, TJX. So nothing really going on there. We do still have a FOMC on Wednesday, which might be a market mover for us. So there's a chance that we just stay semi-flat tomorrow, leading into that. But either way, I still have some setups that I'm going to be looking at for this week. So I want to start on IWM. Today in voice chat, me and Goober were talking about how it's sort of strange the way that IWM is lagging so far behind some of the other indexes like SPY, QQQ. Both of them hit all-time highs um, in the last month or so, but IWM did not. And that can typically be sort of a warning sign because if the market, as Goober was saying, if the market is strong and there's investor confidence, the best returns are going to be in the small caps. So the fact that people aren't rushing to buy the small caps, especially considering we had such a solid technical setup with this inverse head and shoulders, and it could still be forming, by the way, this inverse head and shoulders. Um, we have two left shoulders here before the head. So we might be forming a second shoulder, which gives us a complex head and shoulders, but nonetheless, doesn't matter for right now. I just wanted to make that point that we need to pay attention to the fact that the small caps are lagging so far behind the other indexes. But technical wise, we can see we still, I mentioned this 158 level pretty much for months, and it's still in play. Kind of had that rejection a little while ago. And coming into this week or coming into today, we had this short term bear flag right here. And you can see on Friday, we actually rejected the 200 and the 50 SMA. And we broke below this bear flag. I'm just going to pull it up intraday so it's a little bit clearer. But this morning, we broke below this bear flag. And out of the open, we saw a little bit of buying pressure, but we sort of sold off back into low a day. So definitely tomorrow, I'm going to be watching that low a day. It's at 151.40, and you can see the 151.20, 151.16. If we break that support area, let me highlight it so it's even clearer. So if we break this support, we open up a little pocket because we broke below the cloud. And if we lose that support, we're probably going to start pushing down into about the 150 psych level. So it's about $1.50 pocket in that area. So yeah, keep that 151.40 to 151.20 on watch. Because technically speaking, we broke down from a bear flag. So we can definitely see some follow through to the downside. Quick look at SPY. Still just kind of consolidating here. We held the cloud below the 50, but this is all just chop to me. Nothing really going on here. I just plan to keep most of these trades on the ETFs intraday, especially with like trade deal news and such a news-driven environment. I mean, essentially this entire market is sorry about that. But yeah, this market is very news-driven right now. We see news coming in after hours, pre-market, during the trading day. So yeah, we just with such a news driven environment, it's just best to stay intraday. QQQ again, mostly chop. It didn't have as clear of a pattern as IWM might have had, but yeah, those are just the ETFs. Keeping those intraday. I want to go over what I'm looking at for tomorrow. I have sort of a list of both long and short ideas. I want to be open to everything and have tradable opportunities for both sides because we can't go unbiased and we can't just have one opinion. I want to keep this open. So the first ones I'm looking at, this is MA for MasterCard. Uh, Absolutely strong stock. I just want to pull up the weekly and show the strength in this name. We had this bull flag back here, and this is the Christmas bottom. And you can see the move that we made. It's super similar to the NASDAQ on the weekly where green candle, green, 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 just a few red candles in between. So that's showing you the strength that we have in this stock. But technical wise, so we had this gap up off earnings to make the high. Now we have a little cup and handle action here. And this is a really, really solid setup. I'm going to pull up the intraday here. This is the 1 hour. Let me take off indicators. So you can see the cup and handle here, or the cup. Here's the handle. And we closed testing that trend line. So possibly if we gap up tomorrow, we can see a gap and go setup where we break this trend line. And basically once we're over this trend line and we can break this pivot high, the next stop will be all-time highs for this. And if we look at similar stocks to MA, so we have MA for MasterCard. I'm going to pull up V, which is Visa. Very similar setup here. The cup and handle. And so, yeah, when we find stocks like this that have the same bullish or bearish setups under the same industry group or stock groups, it can be a bullish sign. So that's V, MA, and AXP. Oops, not AP. AXP, you can see here this consolidation right below highs. So all three of these are set up for a run tomorrow. They're definitely my top watch for the long side. Futures are pretty much open flat today at 6. So we'll have to wait until the morning because we know the overnight session can be so jumpy. But either way, MAV and AXP are my long watch for tomorrow. I also want to mention that their chains are very liquid, and I believe that MA, if we pull up their chain, I think that they have nice weekly options as well. Yep, nice weekly options, tight spreads. Yeah, so like I said, watching these for tomorrow. I want to take a look at INTC now. This one has seen quite a beatdown since posting its highs up here in the earnings report. So we sort of gapped down. We had a little falling wedge here. Let's draw that in. Little falling wedge, but I actually mentioned today in voice chat the way that falling wedges can turn into strong momentum downside moves. Just because we have a bullish setup, we can still break down, and that's exactly what we did. We gapped down actually into this. But what I'm looking at now is we traveled right into a really strong support at 43.50. That gives us a really solid trade level to trade off of. You can see we're in oversold conditions. Not that that means anything. Stocks can stay overbought the same way that they can stay oversold. But I just want to note that we're at support in a oversold condition. If we pull this back to the weekly, I know it's Monday and we just opened, but you can see the pivots off of this area. So definitely this 43.50 level is key to watch. And we can even go short below it. So if we break this support tomorrow, it sort of opens up a lot of space. And looking at a similar stock that had a similar setup was MU. So we had this range here with support at about 36.60s. We broke below and that set up for a clear short. And we were oversold on this one too. So that just goes to show that just because we're oversold doesn't mean anything. We can still gap right through support and go lower. So yeah, 43.50 level to watch on INTC. We can trade this long off support, or we can go short. Go short if we break below. Next one's going to be Lyft here. So this is a recent IPO, obviously. We had a nice IPO range in here leading into earnings. Earnings, we sort of broke below, or post earnings, we broke below that range. Now we're sort of setting up with an inverse head and shoulders in here. So we have left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. And the neckline, conveniently enough, is this 56 level that is the old range from the old IPO range. So once we break that 56 neckline, that opens up a pocket of space up into this 62 level. So this one might take a little bit of time to develop and actually break this old support at 56. But either way, setting up well. We actually have a downtrend in play. Oops, thought I had trend line. But we do have a downtrend in play as well. So very tradable because those pretty much those line up together with the downtrend and resistance. So absolutely on watch tomorrow. Really solid technical setup. And we'll see if we can get some momentum into this name. I want us to pull up SBucks here. This is Starbucks. Very strong stock. Again, I want to look at the weekly. You can see the move that we've had since even in July. It was barely affected on that sell-off we saw in December. It has had a really strong trend ever since. But we're starting to pull back a little bit now. So we kind of closed right at support at 76.60. And below that, let me turn this on. We have the 50 SMA. But I think that this one can kind of act like a magnet with this 50 SMA. If we open up or break below 76.60 tomorrow, I see the 50 SMA acting as a magnet. And we can trade this short or even wait and try and go long off of this support if it holds. But either way, looking for a pullback in this strong name. See if we can catch a little bit of that downside. Next up is PLNT, which is Planet Fitness. We kind of put in a little on. We had this earnings back here, and we've set up a nice rising wedge into this high. And today we gapped down below the rising wedge and put in a decent volume too on this downside. You can see the divergence here on the RSI as price made new highs. RSI was still making lows. So divergence is there. I think if we look on the weekly, we have the same type of divergence as well. But yeah, I think that we can still catch some pullback in here. SBucks and PLNT were two of my short ideas, as well as a possible INTC. But this one could be a very solid short into the breakdown of this rising wedge. Now I want to take a look at CVS. Starting to form a slight bottoming pattern. And another one with some divergence here. Price made a new low. RSI made a new high. But either way, we have this bottoming here at 52. We had this same exact kind of falling wedge that we have over here where we bounced off, made a move up. And you can see the 50 SMA here. It's kind of hard to see below my line. But the 50 SMA is turning flat. And once we see that, where these longer term moving averages start to flatten out, it can show you that we're seeing a possible trend change. So we're seeing this flat here. We have this big red cloud, and cloud breaks can be very strong trading setups. So I want to see if we can get over 52 or sorry, 54.50 here on this to trade the breakout. But we can still go short on this stock as well. Trends, you can see this downtrend is pretty strong. So if we look at the weekly, this could all just be setting up for consolidation before we see the next leg down. So basically all I'm going to do is have alerts set at 54.50, have alerts set at 52, and we can trade this to either side. We don't need to guess if we're going to break out or break down. We can just wait on this and sort of see which direction we end up going. Okay, last one is going to be QCOM here. So we had the news today with QCOM in Google, and we basically found support right at this gap that we had on the daily. You can see this kind of rounding top that we had right into it. So gaps can act as support as well as resistance. So far today, we saw it acting as support. But I would like to trade this one short into that gap fill if we get it. The level here is 76.50. So we can still go short depending if we see more news tomorrow, more selling volume into that gap, or if we end up holding it. And like I said, the way that gaps can still be support. So keeping that one on watch. But that is pretty much, I think that's everything that I had going into tomorrow. If you guys had anything you wanted me to take a look at, just put it in the chat or put it in the comments on YouTube, and I'll look at a few more names. I really didn't do too much trading today. I scalped a couple of futures trades, but other than that, not too much going on for me. Oh yeah, actually, sorry, Avery. I was gonna pull up MCD. I saw that you were talking about that today, but I didn't get a chance. So yeah, MCD. There's pretty much two possible setups that that are happening here. So we have this flat top, obviously, at about 225 cent level that we kind of rejected today. But to be fair, it was just a morning spike, and we sold off below that pretty quickly. But pretty much just ended up right here. So we have that flat top. You can do a little ascending triangle here as well. Forgot I didn't have trend line on. Yeah, you can do a little ascending triangle, or alternative view is that we could be setting up for a rising wedge and we break down from here. So just keep that on watch. See what happens tomorrow. If you're already in calls, Avery, just kind of watch this lower trend line and the low a day here. Otherwise, obviously, the breakout play is over 225 cent level. But yeah, just this is all consolidation. So we have to see if we see some type of trend change and see what happens there. But I see your trade idea. It makes sense. A little unlucky with the with that morning spike into it, but can still play out. So we'll see what happens. Is there anything else that you guys wanted me to take a look at? Yeah, that ascending triangle might be the most prominent pattern that we have right now. Oops. Might be the most prominent. So it's looking good, but we'll see what happens. This GIS breakout is looking really solid. I'm still holding my targets at 53.50 and 55 after that, but it's good to see this one finally holding above 62, or sorry, 52. No, I'm going over GIS right now, but yeah, so I want to talk about this a little bit and just about this trade. So we traded this breakout. We saw this move to 53, and I still had my 53.50 target. But I do want to just mention that sometimes on these moves, especially like this one, it might have been a good idea for us to take a little bit of exposure and a little bit of profit off on that initial breakout, just because it turned into a failed breakout at the time. Obviously, we're holding above resistance, but we were up about 50% here, and even at today's high, I think I was only up about 30%. So it's just a good reminder that selling into strength is a good idea. But nonetheless, we still have this gap back here, which is our first target. The way that I just said that gaps can act as resistance, that would be our first target, is this 53.50, which is the gap on the daily. Let me highlight this. And if we can break into that gap, maybe this week or early next week, next target's going to be 54.50 to 55. But I'm holding strong for now. I love this volume that we saw today. Love the volume that we've seen since the breakout. So it looks good. Going to keep holding. Stop loss is 52. But until that hits or my target hits, there's nothing else I'm going to do. I'm not going to add any more to it. It's just going to be my same size position. Yeah. But all right, I think that's going to do it. Like I said, I just want to quick go over some of the top watches are MA and V tomorrow morning. MA and V. I think V is the one. One of these has pretty cheap options. Yeah, V has really nice priced options. You can see the weekly chain here. A little bit spready on these at the money calls here for 165 strike, but the spread tightens a little bit here. Either way, top watch there, and Lift is one of my other top watches at this downtrend, and 56 level. All right, guys. Thanks for coming into this, though. Let me know in chat if you guys like me doing this more than just posting charts or posting watch lists. Just let me know, because I can do these almost every day. If it's something that interests you guys, I want to make sure that it helps you guys too. I don't want to waste anyone's time. So yeah, I'm going to call it here. I will talk to all of you tomorrow, though. Enjoy the rest of your night.